You won't believe how these celebrities spent their first paychecks. From a Snickers bar to treating their families, these Hollywood A-listers got the most unexpected things. So let's find out what these 11 stars bought with their first earnings. Number 11. Matt Damon. First up, we have Matt Damon. Before we get to his paycheck part, let's talk about his backstory, as it really is impressive. Back in the 1980s, when he decided to step foot in Hollywood, he had a shared bank account. You won't believe it, but it was with the one and only Ben Affleck. What? Yeah, Matt and Ben were childhood buddies with a common dream, and over the years, the two have shared the screen many times on projects like Good Will Hunting, Field of Dreams, and Air. It was strange, but they had a solid reason for that. Since the two were aspiring actors, they used the money for their trips to auditions. Whenever one of them got paid, the money went into the shared account. They were a team and had each other's backs. That is what we call true friendship. But the duo eventually closed that account when the paychecks got bigger and more regular. Now, back to Matt's day one as an actor. The Oppenheimer star's first memorable performance was in The Rising Sun as Charlie Robinson. And he made some good money from that. His first check was for $25 grand in 1990. It was decent for a 19-year-old. But you know what he did with the $25 grand? He gifted his brother a car. And he wanted his mother to continue her studies, so he paid for her PhD program. He prioritized his family as they were his biggest supporters since day one. Coming up next, we have Hollywood's two dreamy superstars who made genuine gestures with their first pays, and that makes them even more lovable. The first celebrity may come as a surprise. Number 10. Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt is in a league of his own, right? We're talking about a guy who not only married the most glamorous actors around, but also grabbed roles that ended up being a hit. Before the celebrity era, he had his share of hustle, just like anyone else. Back in the day, he wasn't getting good deals and was earning peanuts. Like in 1991, when he auditioned for Thelma and Louise and got the memorable part, he was handed a check for only $6,000. Today, he's a heartthrob and he's named the sexiest man alive. But his looks and talent are not the only things that are worth talking about. The story about what he did with his first payment is equally intriguing. Instead of splurging on the usual celeb must-haves, he made a classy choice by getting a Craftsman chair and a lamp with a Frank Lloyd Wright vibe for his mother. Brad loves furniture design and thinks that it's a miniature of architecture on a smaller scale. So he thought it would be a memorable first purchase. And now for our second celebrity who's an expert at his stunts, but that's not the only thing he excels at. Number 9. Tom Cruise. The face of Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise, makes the impossible look possible. Since his early days in Endless Love, he's been climbing up. He's not just acting, he's producing too. It seems like everything is a walk in the park for the handsome hunk. He's also one of Hollywood's highest-paid actors for his record-breaking movies. The Top Gun star truly deserves the recognition. But he's not just loved for his acting. In fact, his fans find him relatable for his family values. Tom has always lived by the principle of family first, and he doesn't just say that, he shows that too. For instance, when he received his first salary, he made a heart-melting gesture. He used the money to pay for his sister's educational expenses. Aw, he's a doting brother. He could have bought something for himself, but instead of splurging, he made sure that his sister would have a bright future. And that's not all. He once revealed that with his second payment, he did the same thing. Tom got his sister a car. Isn't she the luckiest? Just like the Top Gun star, the next celebrity on our list is a selfless and family-first person. Number 8. Nicole Kidman. Nicole Kidman turns heads with her glamorous personality. She's always at the top of her game, winning hearts with her spectacular performances and brilliant vocals. Before the spotlight, she had a normal life, and she had to earn all the admiration. Her big moment came with the Aussie movie Dead Calm in 1989. But when Nicole rose to fame, she never let that change her. Family was, and still is, important to her. When she won an Oscar, she mentioned that making her mom proud was her #1 goal. That's truly inspiring. So when Nicole Kidman got her first paycheck, she didn't rush to the nearest mall. Nope, she went out and bought a washing machine for her parents. Yes, a washing machine. After making sure her parents were all set, she did pick up a nice pair of boots for herself. Because why not, right? That first paycheck might be a distant memory now, since Nicole is a multimillionaire. But despite all of the success and awards, it is the washing machine story that moves all of us. What's better than a gift that makes life easier? That's just what our next star got with her first earnings. Number 7. Jennifer Lopez. It's hard to imagine that the biggest name in Hollywood, Jennifer Lopez, was not living the high life. The superstar worked hard to reach the rank of a millionaire. And she's been candid about her whole struggle. Growing up, her family had some really tough times, and there were days when it was impossible to make ends meet. But none of those barriers were strong enough to stop J.Lo from chasing her dream. She took every opportunity that came her way to prove that she was indeed a star. And finally, J.Lo was recognized after starring in the series In Living Colors, which was a game changer for her. Thanks to Jennifer's resilience, she became a global icon. But the entire process was demanding. The actress was in LA, which meant that she constantly had to go back and forth for auditions and shootings, so having a car was a must. She did get one, a Honda hatchback from Keenan Ivory Wayans. However, once she got her first big payment, she made a major upgrade. J.Lo bought a Mercedes, and it was a memorable moment for her for 2 reasons. First, she was finally able to treat herself to something good. Secondly, it was a rough time for her. She broke up with her then-boyfriend. The whole thing was an emotional roller coaster for her. She recalled being in tears the entire time at the dealer. The joy of upgrading your life is out of this world. And speaking of happiness, our next celebrity's new addition to his kitchen made his mornings brighter and more cheerful. Number 6. Rami Malek. Coming up next is the Academy Award winner Rami Malek. Right now, he's a big deal in Hollywood. But you may not know this, but his early career was a big mess. The aspiring actor was working part-time delivering pizza and making falafel sandwiches. He could hardly afford the basic necessities. And when his bank balance shrunk, he moved from New York to LA. At one point, Rami even considered trying his luck in real estate. However, he finally got the most awaited call. He was cast as Andy in the popular show Gilmore Girls. And the rest is history. The Mr. Robot star's best year was 2018. His movie Bohemian Rhapsody raked in more than $740 million in the global box office. But despite that, nothing beats the thrill of getting his first paycheck. Rami Malek was overjoyed and bought something to keep him awake. The A-lister loves a good caffeine punch, so he got an espresso machine. Ah, what's a better way to start your day than with coffee? We wonder if Rami ever said goodbye to Starbucks forever, or if the espresso machine was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. Nothing beats using the money you made, right? Well, there is one thing that gives a different sort of fulfillment. Number 5. Kirsten Dunst. Kirsten Dunst, aka Spider-Man's MJ, is no stranger to fame. She was only 12 when she landed a major role. The Bring It On star worked with the heartthrob Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt for her first role in Interview with the Vampire. Whoa, that must have been a fun ride for her. But what did she do with that pay? Well, for a 12-year-old, it's difficult to make a choice. She was really young when she started acting, but the way she utilized her money is inspiring. A portion of her first payment went to her college fund, and with the rest of the money, she bought a house for her mother. But surprisingly, she never attended college. Now, that was a twist no one saw coming. Anyhow, she did finish her high school studies in 2000. LA and your car are the perfect combo. Still not convinced? Well then, maybe the next celebrity story might help make up your mind. Number 4. America Ferrera. Say hello to the powerhouse of talent that is America Ferrera. This fiery lady has done it all, from standing up against discrimination to making us smile with her performances. She's the person many of us might have as a role model. And America Ferrera has had a wild ride throughout her career. She recently made waves as the supermom in everyone's favorite movie, Barbie. But her first role on Disney Channel's Gotta Kick It Up was her dream come true. She was delighted to be on screen and do what she was best at, dancing and acting. And she was awestruck to be paid for that too. The Ugly Betty star loved acting, and she once said that she would have even paid them just to be on screen for once. That's some next-level dedication to her craft. And when she got her first salary, she went straight to the car dealer. She got a 2000 Mitsubishi Mirage, which cost her about $12K. It's one of her most thoughtful purchases. You see, growing up in LA, she faced a lot of trouble moving around. She was hopping on 3 buses just to make it to an audition. And back in the day, there was no Uber. America Ferrera would sometimes bike, walk, and even convince her siblings to drive her. Next up, we have the story of a celebrity who, as a teenager, made a typical teen purchase. Number 3. Sarah Paulson. The ravishing Sarah Paulson has been gracing our screens for 3 decades now. However, the actress's life was not picture-perfect before she started acting. Sarah was a waitress, but one day she quit her job as she failed to spell the word Parmesan. This cheesy mistake was the turning point for her. After that, she was fortunate enough to land her first acting job when she was only a teenager. So the hero of her story is cheese. Thanks to Parmesan, the world was introduced to a brilliant actress. Now, coming back to where we left off. Oh yes, her first on-screen role. And what exactly did Sarah do with her hard-earned money? The Bird Box star did what any 19-year-old would have done. She went on a shopping spree. Yep, Sarah went to Gap and bought a pair of earrings. And she also filled up her cart with some flaming Dr. Pepper drinks. Turns out, she still lived with her parents back then, and the money was pretty good, so she felt that this was the best way to treat herself. Sarah still questions her choice. She wished she had bought something better, like a car. Don't we all have our "what was I thinking" moments? But Sarah did make some sensible decisions during her early career days. It really is a heartwarming story. When she started getting roles, Sarah didn't forget her longtime friend Pedro Pascal. At the time, he was struggling to enter Hollywood, so Sarah became his savior. She gave her per diem from her job so that Pedro could feed himself, and today, she's over the moon to see his rise to stardom. We love that Sarah's trip to Gap made her inner teen happy. And our next star? She treated herself to a favorite because the heart wants what it wants. Number 2. Tiffany Haddish. The actress and stand-up comedian Tiffany Haddish is one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But things were not always like this. In fact, she had a pretty rocky start to her career. It might come as a surprise, but sometimes Tiffany even had to work for free. She was desperate to prove her skills and get her big break. After all, the entertainment industry is a tough nut to crack. Anyways, the actress once shocked everyone when she revealed her first paycheck. The amount Tiffany received was unimaginably low. Do you have any guesses? Well, the Girls Trip star got only $120 for her first acting gig. But that didn't break Tiffany's spirit. This was enough to motivate her to keep on rolling. And she had a unique yet simple way of spending that money. The first thing she did with this money was to open a checking account. Then she satisfied her sweet tooth by stocking up on Snickers, Jolly Rancher sticks, and Blow Pops and Corn Nuts. Tiffany even jokes about her love for Snickers, saying it's a wonder she's not diabetic yet. But that's not the first time the actress opened up about her struggles in the initial days. She highlighted how the producers took advantage of her. Once, things got so bad that she wasn't even paid the promised $1,200 for her first film. Unfortunately, Tiffany was homeless at that point, and there wasn't anything that she could do. That's really disappointing. But we have to admire the star for not giving up. Fast forward to her blockbuster role in Girls Trip. Tiffany finally got her career-defining role when she starred in Girls Trip. She shot to fame and received $80 grand. Unlike her first payment, she used this money wisely. Tiffany paid off the balance on her first home, and she took a sigh of relief as she always dreaded that she might be homeless again. She's now happy with her life and is doing a fantastic job. Kudos to her for not stepping back. Curiosity is a strange thing. It often leads us to do what we're told not to do. Just like many of us, our next celebrity was inspired by his curiosity to purchase an item he never had before. Number 1. Donald Glover. Donald Glover is a man of many talents. He's an actor, a rapper, a director, a producer, a singer, and even a writer. And he nails each role brilliantly. Donald is the king of the entertainment jungle, and he makes tons of cash. But if we rewind things, his path was not smooth. The Lion King star had to grind day and night to get where he is today. He started off as a writer for the show 30 Rock. It was a great job, especially for a college student. In fact, Donald was making more money than any of his friends. And speaking of money, he spent his first payday on something interesting. It wasn't on the stereotypical things like cars, clothes, or even watches. No, it was Gushers that Donald went to buy. But why did he decide to go for these teeth-crushing sweet gummy candies? Well, that had a lot to do with Donald's childhood. When he was a kid, his parents didn't allow him to have any candy. And it wasn't just that, they made sure that Donald would stay away from anything that had sugar in it. Looks like they were trying to keep that sugar rush at bay. This restriction made him crave candy, and finally, when he moved out and had the chance, he fulfilled his dream of getting all the Gushers he wanted. Surprised by his story, Jimmy Kimmel once asked him what he thinks about the no candy rule. The actor shared that it's best to not stop kids from having sweets, or they might get a little too excited like him. So parents and parents-to-be take some notes from the man. First paychecks are close to everyone's heart, and these celebrities made it memorable by spending it on things that felt right. But it's not always easy to get along with money. Some celebrities find it hard to get along with. Sounds impossible to believe? Well, then watch our next video about the celebrities who are now way poorer than you think.